So we live again. Peace, peace, peace. It's your, it's your boy, Big Slang, Hope, and
Your girl.
Kai Banger. So we are live again, talking some real stuff. And today we're gonna be talking about, are men meant to be polygamous? You know, I think like there is a lot of stuff that goes on, right? Like oftentimes, like like I have posed this question before. It's like we always talk about. Notice how like when you see posts or when you see certain things, like people are always talking, like women are always talking about the man cheated on them, or the man did the wrong thing, or the man did this, or the man did that, or the man blah 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 blah. What's good, my guy? What's good, Ant Money? JT, what's good? What's good? Peace, 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 yo. Make sure y'all like the video so it can circulate. So today we're talking about, do are men meant to be polygamous, right? And also attached to that is like, can women have more than one husband? You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times, we live in this society where it's like some of these sisters, right? They talk about equality, or they talk about like, oh, if men could do it, then we could do it too. All that stuff that's going on. So today we're gonna be having a discussion about that, right? So I basically brought up this point to Kai because I was saying, like, if you look through our history, you will see that men has always been polygamous, right? Like men has always had more than one wife, right? It's not till we get to like a certain century where like the Western world try to push this ideology of like, oh no, you're just gonna have one wife, right? And then they made it against the law to have more than one wife, right? So it's like, it's almost like as if you're forcing men against its nature, their nature. So I had a question, like, and oftentimes I ask some of the sisters this. I'd be like, do y'all always contemplate? Y'all always be like, oh man, always cheating. Like you might as well get used to it. That's just men, right? Like oftentimes you always hear that, right? Like that's just man nature. Like they're gonna cheat, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. So my whole thing is like, if they if you believe their nature isn't cheating and they're gonna step out the home, right? I be asking like, do you ever contemplate if maybe men was meant to be polygamous? Because it's like, if man was meant to be polygamous and we live in a society that forces him to have one wife, or just stick to one spouse, and his nature is built upon being with multiple women, right? Not multiple women in a lawless way, but multiple women in a sense of like getting married, setting up a home, and taking care of them equally, right? Kind of like the tenets of Islam in a way, right? And man is supposed to be the provider. So as you being the provider, you have to provide for all these women, and that means your time, your money, and all of your efforts, right? So yeah, that's just a question that I kind of like pose, right? Like, because women always say like, isn't the nature of man to cheat? But what if isn't the nature of man to be polygamous? And maybe because the law does not allow for a multiple marriage, right? Then maybe he does what he has to do. He does what is within his nature. Like animals gonna do what's within their nature, right? Like it don't matter where you take him. It don't matter if you put them in the zoo. It don't matter if you take him. I see you. I see you. It don't matter. Like it don't matter where you put them. Animals are going to do animal shit. You feel me?
Right.
No.
Me,
So
I'm gonna let you
yeah,
finish.
go ahead.
Let you
Go
finish.
ahead.
I feel like human beings, right? Like are not meant to be monogamous, right? Like I don't think it is only just men, right? That like are not supposed to be monogamous. I think the idea of one person, you finding one person, and sticking with them for the rest of your life, is right, like a Western idea, right? Like it's not natural. There's not really many mammals on this planet that does that. I think besides penguins, and I think penguins and something else. I forgot. I forgot the other one, but it's not. I think some crazy, some crazy like fish or something like that. But whatever. There's not many examples in nature of any animal, right? Like finding like one partner and sticking with them, and that's including with females as well. So men go out, and the male animal will go out and they'll fornicate and they'll procreate, blah blah blah, and so will the female animals, right? So I don't think that I agree with the things that you're saying, but I just don't think that that's only central to men. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that like I think like there's always gonna be an exception. I should say I think like there's always gonna be an exception to certain things, right? And I think like when we discuss that and when we talk about that, like of course, but I think like sometimes some women might even like bring up the perspective of like, oh well, why women can't do it, or why you know what I'm saying, like it's just like stupid concepts of equality, right? When at the end of the day, like it's not about equality. It's not about us doing the same thing. And I think like that's what people miss out upon.
Hmm.
Equality is about like being treated the same, right? And
Exactly.
it's and being and yeah, and at the end of the day, like you're not gonna do the same thing I do. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? But that does not mean you're equal, right? And I think like we have this messed up concept of like, oh, if a man could have 4 jobs, if he could work construction, if he could work this, then why woman can't do it? And it's just like, come on, like, are you dead ass? Are you serious? Right? And it's like these stupid ideals, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, like, yes, you might have some women who they might be more muscular than the average, right? But is that the average? No, it's not the average, right? It's not the average that you're gonna be able to do certain things, right? And I think like just like men are not going to be able to do certain things that women can do. So, and I think like the whole concept is about balance. It's about like we balance each other out, and that's why we have like different characteristics and different things that we specialize in, right? So back to what I was saying, it's like sometimes sisters might say like, oh well, why a woman can't have like multiple husbands? And my whole thing is like this: if the responsibility was upon the woman to take care of the man, it might be different, right? Like if she had to take care of the man and she had to, what I'm saying, like kind of like the responsibility that they put upon men, right? With patriarchy, right? Like it's like, oh, the man has to take care of the home. He has to take care of his wife. He has to take care of his kids. He has to provide, right? Like if the responsibility was placed upon the woman, then I think it would be a different conversation, right? It would be something different. It's kind of like today, right? Like some sisters will ask for equality, but then it's like you still want to be taken on dates. You still want to do the pump the gas. You still want the door to be open for you. You still want the chair to pulled out for you. You still want certain things, right, that come with the patriarchal mindset, right? Which is like the man has to do these things. So it's like, so like, what are we really talking about? Do you just want equal bread, or do you also want to eradicate like some other practices, right? And I think like when you look in history, and some people might say like, oh, there's communities of women who have multiple husbands, right? But I'm like, again, like there's always been an exception to certain things. And my question would be like, is that like a frequent thing though? For example, the hyenas, they are ruled by the matriarch, right? The black community is kind of like basically run by the matriarch.
Hmm.
But the question is that a norm? Is that like a thing that we constantly, is that a reoccurring phenomenon across multiple cultures? It's really not. You know what I'm saying? So I think like people hold on to the exception as in like, oh yes, look, this is what it is. But it's like, okay, of course there's gonna be an exception. But that's not the norm. That's not the and people get into the dumb political stuff like, well, who decides what norm is and who decides what norm isn't? But my whole point is that there's gonna be a norm, regardless of what people think, regardless of how they feel. It's gonna be certain things that are just more general, and are gonna be certain things that are gonna be some not so general phenomenon. So I say that to say that because the responsibility has been placed on men to kind of like take care of the woman in the household and certain things. And another thing I would say, like you was there when I was talking to my other boy, and we was talking about like like children, like bearing children, like and you got to think about this is an old ass practice. This is not like some new stuff. So as an old ass practice, when you didn't even have the technology to determine who's going to be the father of your child,
Hmm.
like imagine you a woman and you got four husbands,
Hmm.
and you get pregnant in the fifth century.
And
You know, like who's the father of your child? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like today, right? Some women go on Maury. I don't know if it's true or if it's made that way just for an episode, but it's like people really go there. They don't feel no shame, and they be like, "Oh, I don't know the father of my child," and that shit is just crazy because
right,
you living in a century which is like you don't know who the father of your child is. Like it's crazy.
right.
So back then it's different. You don't have the technology, right? So it's like, and you don't have the responsibility to take care of these men, right? So
Hmm.
it's like, so what are you really doing? Because if the responsibility is placed upon the man to carry out certain things, like people be thinking like, oh, I could just have multiple wives. No, you just can't have multiple wives.
Gonna say that, right? So that's why I want to step in, right? So I understand everything that you said like makes sense logically, right? But in a lot of ways, like men out here are not practicing polygamy, right? Like they're not getting married. They're just being non-monogamous, right? In a lot of ways, they're not like effectively communicating that that's not what they want, right? So they're pretending and they're imitating relationships that mimic monogamy, but they're still being selfish and getting their own desires outside of that, which usually centers around sex, right? So I understand like your point that you're trying to make, but I feel like now like polygamy, like people are not getting married. People are in actually like in the US, like for some whatever reason, polygamy is actually like illegal, right? So we know that polygamy is not being practiced here. So in a lot of like examples, like we're just seeing people just run around and like having like reckless sex and like cheating and like being dishonest. Um, on both sides, not just men, but women as well. So I think like this is a great conversation, but I just feel like a lot of people are just are not practicing like polygamy. They're not getting married. They're just running around and having sex, um, which is selfish. And that goes into my other conversation, like about like ethical non-monogamy. I think like a lot of people like should. I mean, I'm not gonna promote that, right? Like that's not what I want. I definitely want to be married, but I feel like that's
What
what a
is
lot.
what is ethical non-monogamy?
The ethical non-monogamy is pretty self-explanatory, right? So non-monogamy is just like you being like non-monogamous, right? Like you not being with one person. The ethical part is the part where that excludes the lying, the cheating, the manipulating, the living the double lives. That's what the ethical
So
part,
basically it's just an open relationship.
right? Basically.
All right.
But it's not really open relationship because open relationships are also a different dynamic, right? Where like you have your center partner, where you have your main partner, and then you have your other partners, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you have like a main partner and then you just do your thing on the side. It could be I'm dealing with Sally, I'm dealing with Sue, and I'm dealing with Sarah, you know, they all know of each other, or maybe not know necessarily of each other, but they all know that I'm not the only person that they're dealing with. I'm being honest about that. I'm communicating that, therefore feelings are not hurt, therefore people are not under the assumption that we're just dealing with each other. And I feel like if people practice that, I think less problems would occur. I think that's what a lot of people want, right? A lot of people want to continue and build a relationship with one person, but and continue to build with another person, right? Because there's nobody on this planet that's going to serve all your wants and your needs and your desires. It's foolish for you to think that. So Sarah might do something for you that Sue don't do for you, and so on and so forth, right? Um, so yeah, that's my ideas of ethical non-monogamy. Again, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and promote that, but I think a lot of times that's what people want. People do not want to be in monogamous situations, but they're selfish. So they want to deal with one person. They want to deal with a certain person. They deal with that certain person, and they lie and they manipulate and they cheat and they break hearts and they start all kinds of problems. And yeah,
Okay, so yeah, I guess you're right. Like a lot of people are getting into like situationships, as
right,
we might call them, right? And you know, people get into situationships and like again, like you don't really have no rights. You really don't have no say so in certain things. It's just like, yeah, I'm doing this, and either you know you gonna be okay with it, or you're not gonna be okay with it. Um, and oftentimes people just be like, all right, whatever. Like a lot of times, women, right? They set they s- they set themselves up for like, okay, maybe I could change them in the long run, or maybe he'll change his mind.
Right.
Even though like he might have said even though he might have said in the beginning like, yo, I'm not really looking for nothing. Even sometimes the women say in the beginning, I'm not looking for nothing. And then like, they get into whatever, and then the woman might change her mind. And usually the women change their mind quicker than the men when it comes to like these situations, right? Like, because they're like tend to be more emotional, they tend to be more attached, and it's like they might have sex and it might be like, oh yeah, I want to be with you. And like guys might be like, no, we was just.
But see, that's the conversation of the ethical non-monogamy. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? A lot of times, when people get into these situationships, when people start dealing with people, they're not clear on where they're headed, right? So if I start dating somebody and I'm clear that, hey, like, I want to be in a relationship, this is what I want. Is this what you're building towards, right? A lot of times that just gets those mixed feelings out of the way, because if I'm clear from the jump, from the beginning, that I'm not interested in anything long term, that I'm also dating people outside of um of you, then it's only common sense for you to understand your place and your position. A lot of people, and a lot of times women, right? And it's not only women, because men do the same thing too. In fact, I feel like men are, and I don't think it's necessarily an emotional thing with men. I think it's an ego thing with men. I don't think that men are okay with the thought of their partner sleeping around with like multiple different men. Definitely not. But I feel like, going back to what I said, I feel like oftentimes women misconstrue their positions in men's lives because of the actions that men take, because of the things that men say. Certain men don't have the um I don't even know what the right word for it is, but a lot of men, they just don't have game, right? Like they don't have enough to just come to a woman and be honest and tell them, hey, like, I like you, you're cool, but I'm also dealing with other people. A lot of times men lie, and you know this. A lot of times men tell women what they want to hear to get what they want. And that causes a lot of problems. There are some men who can be honest, but a lot of men can't. And not necessarily because they literally can't, but I think it's a fear thing, right? You don't want to be rejected. You at the end of the day, you want to be able to deal with this woman. So in fear of her rejecting you, in fear of you not being able to get what you want, you're like, oh, let me just tell her whatever she wants to hear, and boom, boom, boom. And that's the part, that's the problem. It's the honesty, it's the communication.
But I think more women do that than men. I think like women already from the jump they don't approach men again because that's connected to patriarchy, right? Like you don't go after the men goes after you. And then it's like, so it's that, right? But then it's like women will sit here and complain. So women will not, a lot of women, not all, because some women are bold. They be on the like what's up, like what we doing, like what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like some women are bold. They not going by that. They like, if I like him, I'm
Right.
stepping up to him. I'm
Women,
I'm gonna approach. I'm gonna
oh,
approach him,
he says
right?
now will change in the future. Yes, and that's a problem.
You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, no, they just make themselves noticeable. They might look at you a few times. They send you certain hints. They walk past you. Come on, you know the funny stuff girls do. You know what I'm saying? Like they do a little funny stuff, and then the guy gotta pick up on the hints, and then if you don't pick up on the hints, it's like that's your fault, right? Like it's your loss, right? When all you could have did, like you could have approached the guy, like in Islam, right? The the first wife of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she proposed to him. You know what I'm saying? And she was older than him by 15 years. And she proposed to him. So like, and even in that as an example, right? Because it's like we look at certain things like, oh, I'm not proposing to no man. Like it was a woman that proposed to her man, and like people was looking at her like it was crazy. Like I remember that they was posting that, it went viral. Like she got on her knee, but like I feel like that was just a whole other like publicity stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's your idea on that? You think women should propose to men?
I feel like it's kind of like I don't know, like I don't know how I feel about it. Hmm. Yeah, so like I feel like yeah, like again, like I don't know about the whole traditional stuff about getting on one knee and like the whole other shit. Like like I don't think like going to the church and doing certain things is like the traditional stuff, right? I don't think like that's contingent upon like your marriage. I think like if you want to get married to somebody, like you can literally go to City Hall.
Right.
purchase, pay the $35 fee
Right.
or what, however much it is,
Right.
and you can sign the paperwork and you get married. So my whole thing is like, I think that women should approach men, and I have a video about this. That like, if you really feel like you're interested in somebody, or you want to get to know them, that you should approach them. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Um,
But I mean, I understand, right? And I can agree, like with what you're saying. Yeah, women should approach men more. Um,
because look, not to cut you off,
and
because look,
I don't practice on approaching men or proposing to men.
no, because look, think about this. Like women oftentimes complain that men harass them. They oftentimes complain like, oh, like these dudes always want to talk to me. These dudes always trying to be in my face. But look, think about this. If we live in a society where it's like the men are supposed to chase, and you're never gonna be let it known like, yo, like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like only some do that, right? And then the rest just like play these little odd games, or they'll walk past you, or they'll brush you, or they do whatever. And then it's like even that could be miscommunication, right? Because sometimes people brush people and that don't mean I want you, or sometimes people look at you and that don't mean I want you, right? So it's like a lot of times a lot of guys can't read what's going on. Make sure y'all like the video, by the way. A lot of times men can't read the signs, right? And some women would say that's his fault. That's on him. And it's like, come on, we can't just. It's just that, again, this blame culture, right? Like it's just like, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? Like you try to approach the situation, it's like, damn, like why you harassing me? You know what I'm saying? Because it's unwanted. I don't want you, right? But then it's like, do I really know that? I really don't know that, right? And then it's like I gotta read the signs, right? And then sometimes I might misread this. Like it's just, I just think it would be simpler if, like, if you're interested, you want to get to know somebody, like, can I
True.
get your information? Can I get your information?
True.
Um, and then I will alleviate that will, and I think a lot of times, since women tend to be more insecure than men, I think they just don't want that rejection, right? They don't want to step into the place. They don't. They don't want to step into the place where it's like, if I approach you and you be like, nah, I'm good. They don't
Right.
want to deal with that. So it's
Right.
like we have to deal with that on our own, kind of like, feel me? Like we're strong enough to like, if she, and some men are not strong enough, because some men, we see a lot of situations where men can't deal with rejection,
And
right?
men.
And they wild out, they curse the person out, or they tend to get a little violent, right? Which is a different outcome from like a woman getting rejected.
Right. Right.
So I think that, like, yeah, I think communication is like, if you're interested, like, yo, like, what's up? What's good? Like,
I
let me get that IG. You heard?
right. I mean that makes sense. But like I said, I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I got to think about that. I don't know if I'm gonna advocate for women to start approaching men and proposing to men. Um, but I think somebody like said something in the comments about would you date a person with no funds? Um, I mean that's not really related to the topic. Just real quick.
Yo, make sure y'all like the video though, so it can circulate.
I feel like I feel like no. All right. Well, I'm just gonna continue. Um,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. My bad.
all right. I feel like I feel like you should both people should have their stuff together, right? I think women should have their stuff together, you know what I'm saying? Men should have their stuff together. I feel like both people have to have something going on for themselves and come to the table both offering stuff, right? So would I date a person with no funds? I mean, no funds is kind of subjective, but I guess I don't know. I wouldn't come to the table demanding nobody to have nothing that I don't have. Let me just put it like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Somebody said like, they never approach outside of New York. They can't be accountable for why they are rejected. I mean, I don't know, man. Like I don't have experience. I don't have a lot of experiences where women are bold enough and they approach me, right? And they be like, yo, what's up? Like, what's good?
Yeah.
Like, and I think different women will approach you differently. Like I've been in a situation where a woman might just say like, oh, let's exchange information. Like let's stay in contact, right? And they might do it on some work related stuff. They might be like, oh, like you work for a certain place or you work for certain people, or let's stay in contact, for the work, right? And then some people, some girls is, I had girls that have been straight up like, yo, what's up with that D, yo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be like, what you mean, what's up?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So So different women will approach you differently, but it's not a common thing. It's not a common phenomenon, right? Like the man got to chase, the man
Right.
got to figure out the messages, the man got to figure out what you want to eat. They got to figure out like, you hungry, babe? Yeah, I'm hungry. What you want to eat? I don't know. All right, we're gonna go here, and they be like, well, I don't really want to eat that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we got to put up with a lot of shit. You feel me?
Right. To reply to Mario real quick, yeah, you're right. Just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you're not a good person. But if you don't have money, then you should be focused on way more than a relationship. You shouldn't be focused on trying to build with somebody if you don't have money. You should be focused on um, getting yourself together. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, you're right, Frank Perry. I feel like you don't have to have game. Like like I said this in the video on Instagram, like swag. Like if you got swag, like you can't buy swag. You can't buy like charisma. You
Hmm.
can't buy like certain character. And I think like a woman would deal with a broke guy, and I've seen this. A woman would deal with a broke dude if she likes his personality, if she likes his charisma, if he makes her laugh, and she feels good about him, she feels comfortable. Over a guy who might be buying her shit, and all he does is buy her shit. Like he's corny, he's whack, he don't got no conversation, but he has money. Like I've seen it plenty of times. The woman will be with you, she will be staying in your apartment, she'll be living in your house, and she'll be stepping out sleeping with a broke dude. She'll be buying him lunch with your money. Like I seen it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and a lot of guys don't get that, right? A lot of guys, like you said before, Kai, you said some guys deal with money. They don't have nothing else. They don't have charisma. They don't have swag. Like,
Hmm.
and swag is not what you wear. Like, swag
No,
is just like what how you handle yourself. Like, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, no, no, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't fail to realize they think, oh, they think swag is drip. They think swag is like, oh yeah, that's just me having the Balenciagas or me having the Gucci this and the chains and like yo, I've seen that in the club so many times. I seen like girls will be in your section drinking all your drinks, doing all that, and then they leaving home with the dude that's taking the train. And most of the time, look, they taking a cab with with the dude that they're taking the train, but he could afford it. He could afford to pay for a cab. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it many times. So I think that like
I'm
somebody mentioned, like yeah,
trying to
the woman is not required to have money, right?
make
Because the man has to be the provider. The
right.
man has to be the one that like 9 times out of 10, a woman is not saying like yo, let me take you on a date. The guy is saying, let me take you on a
Right.
date.
But in translation, right, men are supposed to be providers, right? Men are supposed to have money. And the latter, right, is women are supposed to be beautiful, women are supposed to be attractive. So it's like it's kind of like a silent exchange. Um, dang, I was gonna say something, but then I forgot. Um, yeah, damn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it'll come back to you. But yeah, like I think like and that's what I try to get at. I try to just get at the concept of like, what if men was meant to be polygamous, right? What if we are trying to like create some new shit where we're trying to like restrict people? Because at the end of the day, look, imagine if you have to sneeze and you have to hold that in, right?
hmm,
Imagine if the laws was like, yo, you can't sneeze out in public.
hmm,
And imagine you have to like navigate a world where it's like you gotta hold your fucking sneeze.
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Imagine just having to hold your pissing. I'm saying like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's no bathrooms out in the open. You can't pee by a tree or you can't do certain shit that we used to doing, right? And you just can't do it in the open. You just you just can't, you know what I'm saying? You just can't do it, right? Like certain things need to come out of you. Like certain things is like if it's in your nature, it's gonna come out of you at the end of the day, right? And
right,
if society is forcing you to be a certain way, it's gonna come out of you regardless. So I think that like when society forces us to be on some like, all right, we gotta be on some monogamous shit. And then it's like, even in the Muslim community, I meet a lot of sisters that are on some like, I'm not gonna be no co-wife. Like they make that part of like their marriage stipulation. And I'm like, yo, this is part of your religion. Like you sitting here talking about I'm not dealing with it. Like I'm not going through it because you view it in a Western philosophy, right? You view it as a competition. You view it as and it's funny because in Islam, it's actually more encouraged to marry somebody who was previously married, right? It's more encouraged to marry somebody that was a widow before somebody that's a virgin, right? Because a lot of times those women that have kids or those women that are a widow, they, they're not desirable. Like kind of like which was we was talking about
yeah,
in the last segment, right? When we was
yeah,
talking about like a person with a child, a person with certain things is like you're less desirable. And it's like so this is why like in Islam, right, in the Quran, it's more encouraged to dates to marry somebody who's a widow, to marry somebody who was previously married, right? Because these women are oftentimes overlooked. Like nobody really wants to marry them. They're like, oh, she been married like once, twice. I don't really want to marry her. Like she got kids. I don't really want to marry her.
Sure.
So they emphasize in a verse in the Quran, right? They mention virgins last, and the first people that they mentioned was like married women or previously they mentioned widows and previously married women, and then they mention perhaps virgins, right? So it's like look at the emphasis, right? That the creator had when he was mentioning even who to
Right.
marry. So I think like even in that, even like the whole maybe men are meant to be polygamous, and like why I feel like women couldn't be polygamous because it's like one, you don't have the responsibility to take care of all these husbands,
Mm-hmm.
and two, like how would you determine who, like let's say if they all wanted to have kids, like you know what I'm saying, like it's just like okay, now you got multiple, you know what I'm saying, like it's just different, right? It's different when you're the one that's bearing the children and you're not taking care of them, right? Let's say you have to take care of them. It's just a whole different dynamic, and I think like people don't understand that. Some people just get into like, well, whatever, like we should be able to do whatever they do, and like they get on the ignorant stuff. But I just think like if you really pause and think about it, and how long ago this been going on, right? Like I think it's I will almost say like this is like some second nature stuff.
Right. I think you made some great points. I don't want to, talk about this for too long, but yeah, I think you made some great points. Yeah, yeah, I agree with some of the things that you said. I just don't think that the desire is only exclusive to men. I think women also desire to, do other things as well. But yeah, yeah, I enjoyed speaking about this.
Yeah, somebody was like, all right, facts. The Prophet married Khadijah, who was a widow. Definitely, Khadijah was a widow, and Khadijah also proposed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's what I try to encourage women. I made a video about that, like why women should approach men first, and it's like, like yeah, like sometimes some women you be sitting there, a guy might be interested in you, but he don't want to approach you because he don't want to like fall into the category of a bunch of all these other men, and you might be interested in him, and you don't say nothing, he don't say nothing, and then guess what? You miss out on an opportunity. Make sure y'all like the video. Man is mature. He said somebody put if a man is mature, he gonna want more than one wife. I think like I'm Muslim, right? So from the Islamic perspective, you can have up to four wives, right? And having up to four wives is contingent upon the fact that you treat them all equally. Meaning,
Yep.
if you spend an hour with one of them, you got to spend an hour with the other four or with the other three, right?
Yep.
If you spend 2 hours with them, right, you have to do that with the other ones. And the rights that the husband has over a woman in Islam is like when he clothes himself, he has to clothe them. So if I buy myself some new garment, I gotta
Yep.
buy them all a new garment. If
Right.
I when I feed myself, I gotta feed all my wives,
So it's
right?
exclusive.
Um, so it's nothing about if she just want a bag, I gotta go get her a bag.
Right.
If she just like it's nothing about that. And I think like a lot of these new Muslim women or a lot of these uneducated Muslim women feel like um my husband gotta give me whatever I need. And that's never the part of that's not nothing, that's not the rights of a husband, right? The rights is just
Mm-hmm.
if I can't let you, I'm not gonna let you starve. Like if you're hungry, I'm gonna feed you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like he went. It was night. It was many nights that he went without cooking anything in his home. You feel me? Like, and it's like if he didn't eat, the wives ain't gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? But he
Right.
used to make sure they ate. You know what I'm saying? Or he used to make sure like certain things happen, right? But I think like a lot of people fail to realize that that's the rights. Like your husband could sit there and fast, and if he fast, he not feeding himself. He should like the rights is if he feeds himself, he gotta feed you.
I understand the point that Edwin and Steven's trying to make. I get it though. I definitely understand that. I understand what you're saying, Vic, but a lot of times, and it's the problem, a lot of men, I'm not gonna say a lot of men, but some men can't deal with that. Right? Some men cannot afford to have to be
You know
responsible.
what's so funny? Not to cut you off, right? The prophet used to have like there was an exemption made for him by God, right? So he was able to have like at least like 11 wives or 13.
Hmm.
Um, so when he used to sleep with one of them, he used to make his little rounds, I'm
Right.
saying like he had to go sleep with all the other ones, right? So it's funny, because the
And
companions,
y'all can't.
it's funny because exactly, it's funny because the companions used to say the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had the strength of 100 men, and
Right.
and and, and the reason they said that was because like, yo, bro, like you just went to this wife house, and then you have to go to all your other wives' house and
11.
spend like equal time, and it was just like, yo, bro, like how you did that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so I just wanted to share that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I understand definitely when you say mature. I definitely like I feel like when men are younger, they run around and they're able to, they're able to do this, they're able to do that, they're able to run over here, boom, boom. But as you get older, as you get more mature, and it's not even about the physical stamina, right? It's more so about just the mental, just the peace of mind. Aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? Dealing and handling and navigating different people's emotions and trying to figure out like what different people need. It's difficult, it's time consuming, it could be stressful. So I understand it in those regards.
Yeah, definitely. So you hear about stories about a lot of like African people or a lot of Asian people or a lot of other Muslim people. They just do it just cause, right? Like they'll get married just yeah, I got 4 wives. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like a lot of times they're not even really like abiding by like the conduct or the code that
Hmm.
it takes for you to even take upon that, right? And it's funny because the Quran also mentions like it says like you could marry up to 2 or 3 or 4, right? But one is better if you knew, right? Because women are complicated. Like women are definitely complicated to deal with. So having to deal with like multiple women is just like I'm not even trying to do that. You know, I'm not even trying to get into that. Um,
Like I said, 45 minutes, I'm done. You ain't get right now. My problem. My back hurt after a while.
yeah, like exactly. Like I feel the same way. One woman is enough of a headache. Like think about having 4 headaches. Think
True.
about having 3 headaches, right? Like
And
you
everybody
spent.
dealt with in a different way. So,
And think about this. Your other one of your wives is like you spent 30 seconds extra. Like
with
it's because
right.
women are petty. Women are petty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you
So
spent
so some men
5 minutes extra.
some men are capable of doing that, and I think there's a lot of men who just aren't, right? And those and men need to have that discernment and make that distinction. It sounds nice, but it's work. That's a job. That's a job, for real.
It said 10 minutes for me. Quick pumper Jones. Look. Don't feel bad. The average, they say the average sexual encounter takes 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
You
yeah,
know,
that's true.
so don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be a. I
Yeah,
feel like some women are capping when
yeah,
they say, "Oh, I need an hour. I need like 45 minutes." Like
that's
I'm just like you have to be getting some whack wee wee.
that. I mean, and I obviously don't understand how everybody else's body works. This is just another topic, but the vagina is not dealing with that for 45 minutes or an hour. It's literally, it's just not. It's gonna get dry. It's just not. It's not gonna work for that long. It's just not. It's gonna get painful. It's not gonna work. So yeah,
Oh,
but
really? I did.
he said unless I
Oh,
pop a station pill, please don't do that. Those are not FDA approved. I do not recommend the gas station pills, y'all. Especially if y'all young too. We was just having that conversation. But yeah, y'all gotta young men, y'all gotta stop taking those blue. I know you see the Blue Chew commercials and all this
Blue
type.
Chew, you heard? Blue
Not
Chew.
serious stuff. Y'all too young for that. Y'all don't need to be taking those type of things. And don't a lot of times women, I feel like women pressure men to like, be always like on top of it and erect and be able to perform at these crazy rates and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with pornography. Don't fall into that trap. That's not normal. You're gonna mess up your body. And then when you actually get older, it's gonna be even worse. So I don't recommend that for nobody.
Yeah,
But
I also think there's a lot of natural things. Just blood from he said his man. Look, he just said my man's like no
oh my god.
blood from them pills.
Well, I
So
hope it's
somebody put Bluetooth fire.
I hope your man's is good. But
Yo, but really, like, I think like anything that is, I think anything that a pill could do for you, there's always some type of like natural way to get it. Like, if you don't have enough sperm, right? Like they have, I learned that asparagus actually increases sperm production.
mm,
Matter of fact, I had some asparagus last night. You know, but But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? But no, let me stop. But yeah, I had some asparagus last night. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always a way where we could get certain vitamins, certain nutrients, certain things from natural foods. You just gotta look it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta look it up. It's out there. Somebody put honey.
All right. Let's chill out,
All right,
y'all.
all right, so sweet potato, no cap. I mean, look, everybody got a whole bunch of grandma remedies. Yo, make sure you like the video. Make
Yo,
sure you like the
so
video.
y'all, your people on here, your subscribers is really crazy, like for real.
Yeah, they got all the remedies. You know what I'm saying? They know what to take. Yo, some Jamaican man, I'll be going to some spots. They be like, yo, you got to drink the Magnum. One time, I heard this dude tell Shorty like, yo, give me a Magnum at the bar, right? I thought he was just trying to be freaky. I thought he was trying to be like, you know how dudes be on some fake disrespectful shit.
Yeah.
So when he was like, yo, give me a Magnum. So I'm thinking this dude is on some
Mm-hmm.
like on some insinuating like, yeah, I wear big condoms. You feel me? But
Right.
I didn't know there was an actual drink that was called Magnum. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That Jamaican people drink and they claim like it creates this potency, this
Yeah.
increases your sexual drive and whatever the case might be. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
don't know. Look,
Right.
everybody putting roots,
Everybody
apple
got
juice,
recommendations. Y'all wilding out here.
aloe vera, vitamin E. You know what I'm saying?
Some apple juice. What?
Yeah, apple juice. I ain't look. What do I know, right? I don't know nothing. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you. We didn't even plan on going this long, but
Right.
yeah, we got another one. I think the next one we're gonna do is probably um, can people have sex and
And
still
still
be
be
cool?
friends.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Can like a lot of times the sisters be in their bag. You know what I'm saying? Like
Listen,
a lot of times.
you gotta stop calling the sisters.
Yo, I mean, I'm a guy, so you know what I'm saying. Like, I
You
don't know about them. I
respect
mean,
their
I do
man.
notice some brothers being their bags too. You know what I'm saying? They can't take the hit it and quit it. Even though a lot of guys be dishing out the hit it and quit it. You know what I'm
True.
saying? They can't take the hit it and quit it, right? Especially if that
Right.
thing fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see a lot of dudes.
Right.
They be going crazy. They be like, yo, I'm gonna trap that. Like,
Um,
I'll be looking
real
at them
quick.
like,
No, I don't have a channel, y'all. I don't have a channel. I'm gonna have to give y'all something. I keep asking for it, but thank you. Appreciate the compliment. But yeah.
yeah, everybody do be in their bag. Turn that fan off. I'm going dry. All right, but look, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, we're gonna do this weekly thing. Make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all share it where other people see it, and make sure y'all comment or post recommendations or certain thing y'all want us to talk about.
Mhm.
But stay blessed, stay safe. It's
Peace.
crazy out there, so y'all be good. Peace.